What's up, everybody? Once again, it's West Coast Wednesday from the Beta LA. It's all good all day. And so, big shout out to my big bro, Alvin Eddington, for this opportunity to share a quick little motivational minute with you. Hope you find some encouragement. I know that this has been a blessing to my life to just meditate on, to think about. And so I hope that that what I share with you is just an encouragement, for something that I think that we all go through from time to time. So if I had to put a tag on it, I would call it the challenge with change, the challenge with change. And so whether it manifests from a New Year's resolution or something that we see on IG, even from a fire sermon, there are these moments when we find that we all say that we want to change, that we want to take the necessary steps to change because we have been pricked in that moment. Our hearts have been pricked in that moment that we want to do whatever it is that has been set before us, that we see, that we heard, whatever it is. We want to make that change. And so we even take some initial steps toward change. And so when we are constantly professing and confessing that we want to improve our spiritual lives, we pick all the right Bible plans and we set the mood with all the right gospel songs and so many other things that we do to set the stage. But sometimes it stops right there because we often find that the road to change is actually paved with sacrifices that we're really not yet willing to make. And so there was a moment of urgency that never met the moment of true conviction. And so in order for you to make a change, you have to desire the thing being changed to more than the thing being changed from. Let me say that again. Is that in order for you to make a change, you must desire the thing being changed to more than the thing being changed from. If I want to be fit, then I have to desire that state of being fit more than I do fried foods, more than I do sweets, and more than I do a sedentary lifestyle. If I want to improve my financial health, I have to desire that more than impulse buys, more than undisciplined spending, more than anything else, so that I can have the ability to save and invest in order to improve my financial health. You have to be able to see that the latter is better than the former. You have to know that what you will be is better than what you are right now, no matter how painful it is to get there. You might recall in the Gospels that there is a story about a young man that we commonly call the rich young ruler. Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they give slightly different descriptions of this subject, but they all call him rich. But Matthew calls him young and Luke calls him a ruler. And so a composite of these things has yielded the commonly held moniker, the rich young ruler. And so when we look at this text, we see three things. He's rich, he's young, and he has some level of power. And so when you're rich, that lends itself to relying on your wealth or your prosperity. When you are young, it lends to believing that time and strength are on your side. That's a different kind of power. And then when you have positions of power, this leads you to think that the importance of your position is what lends itself to your ability to do what you need to do, your status, right? So prosperity, power, and position are the things that he relies on. Now, remember that he runs to Jesus and he's asking what he has to do. And Jesus gives him some things. He says, I've done this since I was a youth, right? And so he was willing to only do what he had already been doing. But in order for him to obtain what it was that he thought that he wanted, there was going to be a measure of sacrifice associated with it that he wasn't yet willing to make. That's the challenge with change. If you don't see that the latter is better than the former, then you can take all these necessary steps. You can set the mood. You can pick all the Bible plans. You can do all these things. But if you don't know that the latter is better than the former, then as soon as it gets difficult, then guess what? We abandon our pursuit of change. That is the challenge with change. He knew what he wanted, but he didn't want to do what it took to get it. That's us, is that we know what we want, but we often don't want to do what it takes to get there. Sometimes we can afford to do that with our finances. Sometimes we can even afford to do that with our fitness. But what we can't afford to do that with is our faith. So you say you want to be like Christ. Are you willing to sacrifice? Because that is being like Christ. You say you want to be like Christ. Are you willing to suffer? Because that is being like Christ. Are you willing in some ways to die? Why? Because that is being like Christ. The challenge with change is that it's going to require some measure of sacrifice, some measure of suffering, and even in some ways death. But I guarantee you that if you endure the challenge, the latter is always better than the former. That is a challenge with change, but I promise you, you can do it. And so can I. What's up, everybody? Peace out.